Good evening, Facebook. This is Teresa B coming to you from Amplified Exposure Live. Today, my beautiful, wonderful, pleasant guest, Dave Anderson, is on to join me to tell me about his business, his entrepreneurship. He has a lot of stuff going on, but we'll get to that in a second. Just wanted to say hello and welcome, Mr. Anderson. How are you?
I'm doing well, Teresa. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So we're going to jump right into it because you have, and let me not forget, he came on today because he likes me. All right. So I have tons of questions because you have 31 years of experience in media, sales, business, and $500 million in revenue. So we got a lot to talk about. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Did you know you did all that?
Not all at once. Not all at once.
So tell me about your business.
Wow, which one?
Let's just go right into it. When did you start your business? Because the first thing I wrote down was pitch, close, upsell, and repeat.
Yeah, no, pitch, close, upsell, repeat. Up until about, I would say, it was my 17th number one bestseller. Probably my most popular book. I started my business in 2006. I've been consulting since 1997, though, but I wasn't full time until about 2011. But 2006, I officially incorporated my business. And for me, it was a situation where I just could not get away from giving people advice and helping them make money and finding different ways to make the game a lot more of an even playing field, especially for our people. So that's why I did it. Not to mention, I'm a bit crazy. I'm a bit insane, and I think that that's necessary if you're going to be successful. I think being able to be who you are and make those adjustments, is extremely helpful. So for me, it was it was a foregone conclusion.
So the pitch, close, upsell, and repeat book that is the most popular is considered to be a sales Bible. Tell us why.
Because what's happened is you're conditioned to believe certain things about sales. You believe that sales is somehow icky or scary or disingenuous or